everyone, and welcome back. It's Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial on Mix 104.1 Talk 101.3 and MixTV.tv. Well, after falling to 2-2 Saturday night in Gainesville, suffering a 38-14 loss to the Florida Gators, today the Vols will make the trip to Columbia, Missouri to face the Missouri Tigers. Missouri also comes into this game having lost last Saturday, dropped a tough overtime game on the road to Boston College. It's a game in which both teams need a win desperately in the SEC. And Shelton, will begin with Stephen Shelton. What do you make of it?
Well, Cox was wrong last week. I mean, he picked with his heart, not with his head. But I'm going to tell you, first half of football, this Tennessee team, when you talk about talent versus talent, because I think in the second half we'll agree it was talent versus depth. And so talent versus talent, Tennessee was toe-to-toe with Florida. And I'm going to tell you, if you look back at this game, and I will never put a game on one person, but there's key plays within any game that you would want to think about what if. And the what if is if Callaway would have caught that ball at a touchdown. And that could be a momentum changer, especially when you talk about how high the momentum was and emotions were within this game. But I thought Tennessee for a half to go 17-14, which should have been 17-17 if you make a field goal. But you couldn't have asked for a better game plan. He had receivers open. I thought he did a really good job with the running game. I thought our offensive line played well. And I thought really our defense, because they weren't gassed like they were in the second half, I thought the defense, they held the top 10 team in the nation to 17 points in the first half. I don't know how much more you can ask for when you talk about first-string talent versus first-string talent.
Jason Cox, what about it?
Well, look, y'all, I've known Stephen Shelton for 35 years, and that's the most positive I've ever heard him about anything. Well, I cannot believe he was positive.
I'm positive that I don't know why Josh Rogers has a sports jacket on today, but that's fine.
He'll get in.
I guess maybe we'll find out. Yeah, you know, I for a half I looked like a genius, and then I turned out to be the idiot that I am. So
I will say, and Josh Rogers was at my house watching this game. At halftime, I said, "Oh Lord, Jason may be right."
Oh well, maybe one day we'll win that game. But you know, I don't think you can complain. We competed. We went toe to toe with them. Emory Jones, that guy's a man. He is an amazing running quarterback. He doesn't throw it very well, but he doesn't have to. So hats off to him. I like where we're headed with this Tennessee football program. It just has a feel to it that it's going to a better place than what it has the last 5 or 6 years. And so even though we still ended up losing by 24 points, no moral victory, I'm not saying that, but I like the way we're handling things. I like our offense, how things are looking, how they draw up plays, and our defense is better than what I thought it would be, honestly.
Well, I thought that Josh made a key point during the game in the second half when we were down, I think 20 or 21, somewhere in that neighborhood. You know, for him to be a Florida fan or a Georgia fan, he looked at me and said, "They've not given up." I mean, they were still playing hard, even down 20-something points. Those guys were still playing hard.
Yeah, they were, and you know, Tennessee played with Florida. I mean, I don't think any of us really left here last week. Really, I mean, maybe
except for Jason in his Uber.
Yeah. But
I appreciate
really,
that, by the way.
But I don't think any of us really thought that they would actually play with Florida, and they did. You know, you talk about Emory Jones. He was 21 for 27 for 209 yards passing, had 15 carries for 144 yards rushing. Our key to the game last week was how do they contain Emory Jones, and they just didn't do that. They didn't do that in the passing game, and they didn't do that in the run game either. And, you know, the thing is that Heupel and his team really didn't give up, right? But until he gets his true staff in there, his program where he wants to be, his players in the building, now, these players, and we don't need to, put down these players because, I mean, they showed that they are SEC D1 talent, but it's not his, they're learning his system, his culture, and his perspective on offense and defense. And that just takes time, And the problem is that we've been saying this since 2008 when Fulmer left. We said, Kiffin was the answer, and Dooley and
Kiffin
Butch,
was the answer.
Until he left. Until he left, and then Pruitt and now Heupel. And the big thing is that it's going to take time, and Tennessee fans have to be patient with this. And the problem is that most Tennessee fans aren't patient because they want to win now. I don't know how some coaching staffs do it. You know, you look at somewhere like Minnesota with PJ Fleck. I mean, he came in there and turned that program around like that.
Sam Pittman, Arkansas.
Sam Pittman, Arkansas did that.
Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss.
Kirby Smart at Georgia, but when Kirby
Come on, you guys were winning 9 games a year.
and that's
Come
and that's
on.
what I want to say is that they were 10-2, but Kirby took them to another level, just like PJ Fleck has done, just like Sam Pittman has done, and you know I'm
Dan
just
Mullen.
not sure.
Dan Mullen when he went to Mississippi State. Now Dan Mullen at Florida.
Totally agree. I just don't know in the past 13 years since 2008 if Tennessee really has had a whole. I don't want to say that it's on the players, but I just don't know if they've had total complete buy-in all around like some of these other schools have. But what we saw last week should be hope for Tennessee fans going forward because they played a heck of a game against Florida.
Shelton?
No, I agree with 100%. I just think that depth, when you talk about, you know, I've had people ask me this week, they said, what do you mean depth? I mean, listen, when you play at an offensive pace like they do, it's three plays Tennessee, 1 play to Florida, basically, is what they were trying to do. In a minute, in a 60-second period, they're running 3 plays to 1. You've got a center in the second half that's playing on 1 leg, basically, and not wanting to come out of the game. That tells me all I need to know. When you got a guy that's hurt that's saying, don't take me out, instead of the guy that's tapping the top of his helmet to come get me, that's the type of guys, listen, may not win with you guys, but eventually I will because that's the type of guys I want on the field. So I just think that you look at this game from a broad perspective. There are no moral victories. I think the coaching staff, I would give the coaching staff a B+. There was a time management issue at the end of the first half that I thought that was really bad. I think they got caught up in the flow of the game. But you learn those things. But I think the coaching staff, you give them B+. You got to give the offensive scheme in the first half an A because he had guys wide open. I mean, wide open. That the long pass there for a touchdown. I can't remember the last time that we did something like that in Gainesville. I really can't. You know, we've had some touchdowns, but it's been screen plays and whatnot. But I'm talking about a vertical throw that ended in a touchdown.
Well, I think the big thing for Heupel too is he comes in to Tennessee being I guess in the past couple of years being the 5th best coach or the 5th best team in the state of Florida, right? I mean, you've got Florida, Miami, and Florida State, and then for the past few years you've had Lane Kiffin down at FIU or FAU, whatever it is,
FAU,
and then you had Heupel at UCF. Well, and then Scott Frost was there before he was, right? So he goes from being the 5th best school or the fifth best team in Florida to being the number 1 team in the state of Tennessee. And I mean, football in Florida is huge, but it's a lot different here in Tennessee. And so for him to still learn how the SEC works and how Tennessee football works, I mean, we were watching the game over at Shelton's, and he says, "You kicked that field goal or no?" And at first, I was like,
I said yes, though. Did I not?
You did, and I said no. I said you got to go for it here, but. In SEC football, you kick that field goal and you're going into the half 17-17 against number 10 Florida. You know, that's a big win for Tennessee in that situation.
Jason?
Well, I think the quarterback controversy is over. I think Hendon Hooker is clearly the guy.
Let's hope.
If he's
he
healthy.
is head and if he's healthy, I think he'll play this week. I think he's the guy. I don't think he'll be giving it away to Joe Milton just for a series here or there. I think Hendon Hooker is a guy that can move this offense. I want to see more Tyon Evans. That little screen pass he took to the house for a touchdown in the first half was beautiful. That guy's got a motor. He's got big old tree trunk legs. I want to see more of him in the next few weeks. Again, I agree with all y'all. I like where we're headed.
All right, we're going to take our first break right here. It's Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial Convenient Care, Public Shopping Center, Paula Parkway in Cleveland. We're back with more in just a moment. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. On Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz, and on Mix TV, mixtv.tv. Looking forward to the Tennessee at Missouri kickoff. That's coming up at noon Eastern Time, right here on all of our, on Mix 104.1 and Talk 101.3 on the Mix app. Download for free at mymix1041.com. If I heard the question once, heard it 100 times this week, Josh Rogers and the NIL. Now, let's review quickly. Chick-fil-A, Buc-ee's 0 for 2.
Yes.
Last week, you finally got Who was last week?
Yes, so last week was amazing, and I'm so thankful for my good friends over at Los Moss for supporting me and allowing
Los
me
Moss
to
25th Street.
Los Moss 25th Street for supporting me and allowing me to be connected with them and being able to have my NIL deal, my first one with them. But look,
This is ridiculous.
Look, we're told never to stop and always reach for more. And so that being said, if you're watching live on Mixed TV, you might ask
Let
yourself.
me stop right there. If you're not watching this show, I'd rather watch it than listen to it, to be honest with you. I mean, I know people would rather not do either, but if you're going to choose one of the two, watching this because of this NIL stuff is much better, much better.
Well, look, if you're watching live on Mixed TV, Facebook, or wherever you might find it, you might ask yourself, or you might say, boy, Josh looks good. And that's the reason why is
I doubt
we
that's
struck another NIL deal this week.
Okay, what are we doing?
So, boys, I inked a deal with Larry McDaniel and the Town Squire. I got my Town Squire jacket on from Larry this week. And I wanted to sit there and say, Larry wanted in on this action, and he's done the best he could do to try to dress me up. But he's been dressing the Rogers family for as long as I've been alive. And so I'm contractually obligated to say, and I had to write it down, come see Larry and the boys down at Town Squire. They have all your game day clothes you need for the Tennessee Vols, Josh's beloved Bulldogs, and they even have some Alabama shirts in there too. So come see Larry and all the guys down at Town Squire.
If he said beloved Bulldogs, I'm never going again.
Hey.
That's it.
But wait, guys, there's more.
There's more.
Here we go.
All right, so I get sponsored by Los Moss, and they've got wonderful tacos, enchiladas, chips
What else?
and queso.
What else?
Some amazing drinks at Los Moss. They're on 25th Street, and it's my go-to spot after the game or after a long day at work, no questions asked. But I got asked, what am I going to do for lunch? What am I going to do for the game? Well, boys, my buddy Doug and Miss Kay reached out to me this week. And we now have a lunch sponsor for the NIL deal. I thought it was a good fit since I already got a table there and a parking spot.
And a parking spot.
But I am contractually obligated to say, stop in and get some chicken salad or pasta salad, or with it getting colder, grab some soup, good soup, for your tailgate needs or for your football party needs. So thank you, Miss Kay, Doug, all the family at Jenkins. We appreciate it. Larry got me looking good. And I can't ever forget my first true love, Los Moss. So we're 3 for 3, baby. We're 3 for 3.
And you doubled up this week. If
We
you guys,
did. Hey,
if you
and I
guys,
got something for all you guys
Yes.
as well.
Oh,
Look at
okay,
that.
great.
It's your Jenkins
There we go.
sticker.
There we
I'll
go.
get you guys one here in a
Yeah,
little.
This is great.
I don't know. The term "created a monster"
Yes.
comes to mind right there. That's pretty good stuff. All right, well, let's look ahead now. By the way, we got quite a contingent of local guys. Shelton over at the Tennessee, Missouri game. I know Pickett's over there, Ken Melton, Brian Fretwell.
That's
Brian Richardson.
They make a big trip every other year to
do they?
Columbia. Yeah, it's I don't know why, because
Why Columbia?
have you ever been there?
Oh, miserable.
There's nothing.
I'd rather go to Branson.
But I will. I would rather go to Ozark. Anybody
I
seen
would
that
too,
show?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
is anybody? I mean, so usually Tennessee plays traditionally Missouri at the end of the year, and when we travel over there, it is miserably cold.
Yeah.
This week's supposed to be in the 70s. Going to be nice weather. It is nice over there. There's nothing other than football, really. But yeah, they make that trip every other.
Let's start our preview. Again, a noon kickoff. Jason Cox, over to you. What do you make of Tennessee at Missouri?
These are pretty evenly matched teams. They're both 2-2. Their schedules, if you look back, I kind of look back to see if the stats were held up by too many cupcakes on one side or the other. They both played a couple of cupcakes. Both played, Tennessee played Pitt. Missouri played Boston College last week. Both losses, similar type teams. Similar teams this week. Connor Bazelak's a quarterback for Missouri. He throws the ball around a whole lot. 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns already, only 3 interceptions. I think Tennessee's defense is going to have their hands full on that this week. Missouri averages scoring 38 points a game. Tennessee averages 35 points a game. One difference I spotted in the overall statistics, though. Missouri allows 32 points a game. Tennessee allows 21 points a game. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds up this week. Should be a good challenge for the Big Orange.
So
I can't stop laughing at Josh. I just can't. Every time I look over at him.
Man.
I'm sorry. So, listen, this game is won and lost on time of possession. It will be. The team that has the greatest time of possession in this game wins the football game.
Or is it maybe the least amount of
Well, they
possession 'cause
score,
the way
yeah,
these
it's
two
true.
teams play? I don't know.
Boston College can throw the football all over the field. They really can. I mean, not Boston College. Missouri can throw the football all over the field. Right now, they had 303 yards against Boston College in the air, but only 88 yards on the ground. What concerns me about this game is Tennessee does a really good job, or a much better job than in years past against the run. We still haven't done a great job against the pass, and that's what concerns me about this. Missouri is yet to get a turnover this year defensively. If Tennessee can get one or two turnovers on a fumble or maybe an interception, last week Bazelak threw an interception in overtime that really cost them that game going into triple overtime. If Tennessee can get one or two turnovers, can control the time of possession, we can steal this win and maybe finish fourth in the East, which I think for Heupel in his first year behind Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, and then us would be a step forward. And would probably mean a bowl game because having lost to Pitt, we need this one to get that sixth win. So Tennessee, though, that they're going to have to do a good job against the pass. I think they can shut down the run. Batty, is that right? Batty is running for about 104 yards a game. We did a really good job against Florida, except for the quarterback on scrambles, but against the pure run, we did a really good job. So I look for Tennessee. I really look for Tennessee maybe not to stack the box. I think you're going to have to back off of that a little bit and let them establish a run game, kind of the opposite of what you usually do, because I just don't think if you let him get going throwing the football around the field that it's going to be a long day for us. But I really hope that Tennessee has some sustained drives, but I think that Tennessee can take advantage. Our wide receivers are better than their defensive backs. They're 129th in the nation in defense overall. We have to take advantage of some of the vertical passing, and I hope we connect like we did at Florida. And if we do, we can still win in Columbia.
Well, they might be 129th ranked on defense, but they're 12th ranked in the passing nationwide. So they average about 325 yards per game. And let me read this because I couldn't believe it, right? But by only averaging fewer than 8 yards per attempt, per pass, okay? They use an intermediate passing game. More importantly, though, Mizzou's does this by spreading the ball around. They have had 7 players with over 100 yards receiving on the year and none over 200 yards receiving on the year. 8 players have 95 yards receiving, and 9 players have caught 12 touchdown passes by the team this year. The key for Tennessee this week is going to be that defense. It's going to be getting a rush on the quarterback, but it's also going to be about those linebackers stepping back. And watch Tennessee to play a lot of nickel defense. That's having an extra safety in there, extra cornerback in there to be able to kind of play a spy position, being able to step up on that and try to stop some of those intermediate passes.
And Jason, one of the differences this week compared to last week is basically like he doesn't want to go run. He's not the guy that's going to scramble for 25 yards.
No.
Yeah, there is some talk out of Knoxville of maybe making some defensive changes on the back end, the safeties, maybe giving some of those Christian Charles, some of those young guys that have really been making some plays later in games, maybe letting them have some run earlier in the games because the older guys are really struggling back there. So we'll see what that happens.
Well, when you get taught 3 different defenses in 3 different years, it's hard to do that. And I think that when you look at this Tennessee, the whole Tennessee roster, sometimes it's younger. It's easier to teach the young buck the new trick than it is to try to retrain the old guy.
It is, and really for this week too is going to be that Vols offense. Who's starting at quarterback right now? Right now on the depth chart, it's Joe Milley.
But
Joe Milley is ranked first on the depth chart.
The depth chart though has not changed since week 1. So I've checked it every week. It's not. They have not changed the depth chart. Hooker, I just read. We're again taping this on Thursday, but I just read that Hooker was okay yesterday. That was a Wednesday, and they would reevaluate today. And then Friday is kind of the day that they'd make their final decision. And it looks like he's pushing towards Hooker.
All right. I'm going to have to take a break right here. We'll come back. It's Rocky Top Review, Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz, and MixTV.tv, presented by CHI Memorial. We'll be back in a moment with our final pick segment. Back with a final segment of Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial, getting ready for the noon kickoff. Tennessee at Missouri on Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz, and the Mix app. Download for free at mymix1041.com. John?
I was going to let you go the first game there.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. This really is the game of the weekend in a lot of people's mind nationally. Arkansas at Georgia. That is a noon game on 99.1 FM. Thank you, Austin. There it is, supplied by Wholesale Supply Group.
Sick 'em.
Okay, let's get past that.
Yeah.
Are you a believer yet, Jason Cox?
Listen, I said last week that if they could beat Texas A&M, I would be a believer in Sam Pittman. I said it.
Listen,
And
I'm
I
gonna tell you
believe
right
it.
now, no, I'm not making fun of you. I think everyone in the nation is looking at Arkansas thinking when you look at their schedule, yeah, they're going to, hey, they got a chance to win the first 3 or 4 games. They get to Texas A&M, the wheels are going to fall off this thing. They manhandled, physically manhandled Texas A&M. Texas A&M looked like a team that I picked them to win the West. First of the year, I thought they were better than Alabama, from start to finish. But Texas A&M looked like they were not ready for that Arkansas team. Now, I will say this: Arkansas goes to Georgia and they get beat. Okay, I think Georgia is better than Arkansas, but I think Arkansas has a chance to play in a very large bowl game. And hats off to Sam Pittman, the former Tennessee offensive line coach and then Georgia offensive line coach. Hats off to this guy for going over there and flipping the script on Arkansas football of something we haven't seen since McFadden and those guys were out there.
What about it, Jason?
Well, I'm a believer, but I'm not that much of a believer. Georgia today.
Look, Sam Pittman brings in a fired-up Hogs offense and defense into Sanford Stadium, but that hog gets split roasted like a Hawaiian barbecue on the beach. My dog's big over Arkansas.
He's practiced that.
Over and over.
He read it. He didn't practice.
Ole Miss will be at Alabama. That's a 3:30 game later this afternoon. That's the CBS game, and that'll be, of course, at Alabama's Bryant-Denny Stadium. Josh, let's begin with you.
Yeah, CBS game of the week, and it's hard to play Alabama anywhere, but it's really hard to play in Bryant-Denny. And I don't know, this might just be one of those sellout games for Ole Miss where they do everything in their power to win. But if Matt Corral and Kiffin can get going with Dontario Drummond, and Ole Miss might be able to keep it interesting. But I think at the end of the night, you'll be hearing Rammer Jammer being sung all night long at Bryant-Denny. So I've got Alabama over Ole Miss.
Jason?
Kiffin has been poking that bear the last couple of weeks. I mean, tweets and any little thing he can poking at Saban. And but Lane Kiffin has still not won a game he wasn't supposed to win, and it ain't going to happen this week. I think Saban absolutely takes him to the woodshed and puts it on. Bama may score 80 points this weekend.
Florida's at Kentucky tonight.
Can I pick that game?
Uh-huh.
Can I pick that game?
I thought you did.
No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Boys, you hear that? Hear a train coming. He's coming around the bend.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin goes to Alabama and wins.
No.
Ain't no way.
You guys can order me an Uber when we leave, but my guys, get ready. This is the year Lane Kiffin puts the nail in Saban's coffin.
We'll need an Uber or a police officer, one or two.
Florida at Kentucky tonight at 6 on ESPN at Kroger Field. Jason, let's start with you.
Well, I just think that Florida offense with Emory Jones running the football is so daunting, and Kentucky's defense might be one that can slow it down a little bit. I believe it's at Kroger Field. I just can't take Kentucky here, Florida.
Florida 8.5, I think, is the point spread right now coming in this game, and that could change a little bit by 6 o'clock tonight. Florida struggled defensively against Tennessee early, and Kentucky's kind of struggled against UTC. I mean, that was miserable, but I think they're both undefeated still, right? And so I wouldn't be so sure that Kentucky doesn't pull off the miracle at Kroger Field tonight, and probably against my better judgment, but I'm going to go with Kentucky on this one. I hate Florida, so
I think that Kentucky's better than Tennessee. I don't think they're 28 points better than Tennessee or 24 points better than Tennessee. So I think Florida escapes Kroger Field tonight, but just by eyelash.
Yeah.
All right, Mississippi State will be at Texas A&M 7 o'clock tonight on the SEC Network at Kyle Field. Shelton, what do you think?
I hate to be Mississippi State this week. I'm not going to lie to you. Although they almost pulled off the upset last week over LSU, but I think Mississippi State goes to Kyle Field and they get just hammered.
Josh?
Yeah, the Fighting Jimbo Fishers, they'll have a big night tonight. The 12th man will be rowdy and loud, especially there late. I'm going to go with Texas A&M, the true SEC Texas school.
Well, Texas A&M has a quarterback problem, and that's always a problem. And so I don't know. I don't know how this one turns out. Mississippi State's got a fighting chance. Here's the stat I can't get over. Texas A&M is only allowing 9 points a game. Their defense is killing people.
Not last week.
But here's what I've seen over the years with the Pirates offense. They go into these games and they get shut down a lot of times. So they may score 60 or 70 points one week, but then they hit a good defensive team that just locks them down. So Texas A&M wins this one.
All right, Auburn will be at LSU, 9 o'clock tonight, Tiger Stadium. Josh Rogers, what do you make of it?
Yeah, the Battle of the Tigers, but you don't come into Tiger Stadium down in Louisiana and win at night. And that's right now Auburn's quarterback room is a dumpster fire. So, and as a Georgia Bulldog, I don't pick Auburn ever, so LSU.
Shelton, what do you think?
I go down to LSU. I really think Auburn. The wheels are falling off that thing really fast. But yeah, I think they're talking about getting rid of Bo Nix all of a sudden after he was the savior.
Yeah,
down
Tennessee.
there. Yeah. So okay. And so Auburn goes to LSU. Night game at LSU. Give me the Tigers of LSU.
Jason.
I'm taking the Auburn Tigers in this game. I think they go to LSU. It's hard to win down there at night. Those people are nuts after dark. I just am not impressed at all with this LSU team. I've been a little bit more impressed with Auburn. I think that second-string quarterback might be something to keep our eye on. I'm taking the Auburn Tigers in this one.
All right, a quick round here from the Ivy League. Columbia at Princeton. Ladies and gentlemen, and let's see. Shelton, I'll begin with you.
Princeton.
Columbia.
Princeton
for Barb Searcy, my former Bible teacher at Lee University. And now the game we're looking forward to, Tennessee at Missouri, noon kickoff. That'll be on Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3, and the Mix 104.1 app. Download for free at mymix1041.com. Let's begin with Jason Cox.
Oh man, I have gone back and forth on this one, and to this day I still don't know what I'm going to pick. So with that being said, I went full homer last week. I can't go against it. If I'm going to pick Tennessee against Florida, I got to pick Tennessee against Missouri.
Josh Rogers.
Being that Tennessee has to travel out to Columbia, 11 a.m. kickoff, I think Tennessee, after a long game last week against Florida, comes out slow and sluggish against Missouri. I think if Missouri takes advantage of that early, Tennessee will respond to that. But to be honest, I just don't really have any confidence in Tennessee right now, even after last week against Florida. On defense, I just don't. And so for that, I'm taking Missouri by a field goal in Columbia.
Shelton?
Yeah, I think Missouri's offense is better than Tennessee's defense. Missouri 28, Tennessee 17.
All right, there you go. It's another week. And there he is, Josh doubling up on the NILs. And we got our Jenkins stickers on. Hello, Kay, I love you. And everybody, oh, look at that. That chicken salad's great. We're going to go to the Bowl Network. The Big Orange Countdown next. Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3, The Buzz.